Your name is Mike?
Yep, my name is Mike, and I became Mike at a very young age.
Yeah.
And, I had a great upbringing. I really did. I think we talked about this. My parents are great. They're still married. They've been married, they'll be 51 years this year. My brother, he's a great guy. He's got a family. Him and his wife have been married 22 years, 25 years, something like that.
Excellent.
Yeah, amazing. And my sister, she's amazing. It took her to find the one that is her forever person, but she found him. They're married. They've been married, I don't even know now, 12 years, 11 years, something like that. But not me, no. The whole blame it on the parents thing doesn't work. Does not scale in this.
I've never had that excuse either.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I got married too young. Met the one that I thought was her in high school, and until she figured out that I wasn't the one for her, like I didn't realize that she wasn't the one for me. Yeah. So she brought the drugs home, and we did the drugs, and that was where it started. Started with cocaine, and that was. Okay, it was really expensive though, because half an hour for $20. There's only one way that's a good deal, but not with cocaine. Anyway, so
give me a second.
Yes. Okay. So then the methamphetamine came along, and meth, dope, shit, whatever you want to call it. So we did that, and I thought then after I walked away from it after 6 months, after my daughter got taken away, after our daughter got taken away. I thought I was a meth addict then, but I didn't have any idea. So, I thought I was a tough guy for being able to just throw it in the trash and walk away after doing it for 6 months. Losing 20 pounds and, my job and all these other things. The wife was gone anyway because, I figured that out when I started coming home and there were strange dudes in my house. It's like, hey, who are you, Oh, I'm your new friend.
Your new friend.
Like, yeah, so like, okay, you got dope, right? Well, that's good. It doesn't matter. You can be my friend. It's amazing the things we just trade off.
Wow, yeah.
And I figured out there was something going on when they were having me counsel them in their friendship matters. And I was, why am I I was really stupid.
Wow, you are a nice guy.
I am a nice guy. And so I think anybody that knows me would be like, yeah, that's the guy we take advantage of. He's great. I love him.
Wow. Yeah, Mike spelled with an S?
Yeah, exactly. He's Mike spelled with an S and an ER at the end.
Yeah.
So... and a UCK in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
But same thing. So I put down the dope because I thought that would get my daughter back. It turns out that Child Protective Services at the time, well, and worse now, I'm sure, but at the time they just fed me a bill of goods and told me, yeah, if you just sign your rights over right here, you'll get her right back after you're done, being a drug addict. And guess what? You sign your rights over. Yeah, it's over. You're done. Over, yeah. So, that worked out really well for nobody. Except, actually, the silver lining there is that my parents, my daughter's grandparents on my side, obviously, were able to adopt my daughter after like 8 or 9 years of fighting this battle.
Wow.
Because my ex-wife was, if anything, she was tenacious. Like she wouldn't let go. She always had a really expensive male lawyer that...
you are a nice guy.
I am a very nice guy. So, but this isn't to bomb on other people. This is for hope and stuff. So I started drinking. I was quit meth for like 8-9 years, but I'll tell you what, I should have bought stock in Budweiser and Bush, because if there wasn't 2 20-packs in the fridge every night, then we had to go to the store. And then if I went to visit family, it was 30 packs of Milwaukee's Best Ice. So the Beast.
Yes.
And my dad and I would polish up a 30-pack of that shit by ourselves. Like 15 each. And then we'd still be walking around talking, I don't know what we did, but we did stuff. But we had a good time, and, like there are people that can drink that much and still function and get up in the morning. Then there's me. So, so that definitely wasn't me. Fast forward, I went through, a bunch of things and did a lot of drinking. Then I moved back out to the valley. I got a job with a little construction company doing, work around the valley. And one of the people I worked with sold dope, meth. And he went home for lunch one day and went with him. I gave him a ride. I was like, well, what are you doing? Because he said, I'll be right back. What are you doing? Because I kind of had an idea. And he's like, no, dude, you don't want none of this shit, And, I was like, yeah, I do. I'm pretty sure I do. So that was that. I started back into meth. That was a long ride.
How fast did it go from you using it again?
From zero to jobless?
Well,
zero to homeless?
I was thinking more about the quantity of the use. How fast did it go from trying it again to using it regularly?
That's actually a pretty good question, something I hadn't really thought about. Well, a 20 let's say a 20 would last me. At that time, I didn't have the homie hookup, so a 20 was like, like 0.3 of a gram or so, like 0.3. And that would last me, it was good, it was better then too, but that would last me maybe a week. Yeah. So, like, it was pretty good, and my habit wasn't that bad. But as things go, your tolerance builds up, and before you know it, it's a 20 a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maquette told me years ago that she was doing $40 a day.
Yep. That's 100% reasonable. Yeah. And I would imagine that near the end of her run, she was probably more in the neighborhood of 100 a day. If we were going by some of the older prices and sure. Kind of worked for a couple of different places, while I was doing dope, and kind of kept it, but much like my drinking career, I wasn't the guy who could do a little bit, go to work, keep it together, and keep a job, because it was way more fun to do a bunch of dope and not go to work. Yeah. Lost all the jobs. For a while, I was couch surfing, I would, hey, I'm kind of outdoors,
Right, yeah.
And now everybody funny too. Yeah. So that's how that worked out. And so next thing I know, I'm trying to find a, travel trailer or breaking into abandoned houses and staying there. And I had found an abandoned house in the valley that was plenty abandoned for a long time. And nearest we could tell, it wasn't really owned. It was just there. So I looked up the thing called the homesteading law, and me and my girlfriend at the time decided that this was going to be what we were going to do.
Qualified.
We're gonna go ahead and try and homestead this place. The problem with that is you have to make improvements. You have to be able to afford to pay the back taxes on the property when this time comes around, which is about 2 years. The thing about that is when you're a dope addict. And at this point, I'm sorry, let me back up, everybody. I was, at this point, I'm on heroin. So let's back up to heroin. We forgot about that. God, do we want to go into, shooting? Like, what? Because I was shooting too, so I don't know.
Whatever
we can edit this out right here.
Whatever you want to talk about.
So there was a point, I guess we could either the dope got so bad that smoking it just didn't do the trick anymore, or I just couldn't smoke enough to get the job done. Yeah. So I'd seen some people, using needles and shooting. I was like, and the funny thing is everybody thinks that dope dealers and drug addicts in general are just these heartless assholes that want to get kids high, and let's get kids, drugs into kids' hands young, so that we've got a customer base for the rest of our life. You know what I mean? Like, get a residual income going off of this. In my experience, it's just not the case. Some of the nicest, most caring people I've met have been drug addicts, have been ex-cons, have been the worst kind of criminal that you don't want to meet in a dark alley. But if you're on the same side as them, they're the only people you want next to you. Right. I asked a couple of different people, hey, I don't know how to do this, but I want to. And they were shooters themselves, and they're like, no, I'm not going to help you. I won't help you do that. I won't show you how to do that. It's a slippery slope. Don't do it. Yeah. As anybody who's been down that road knows, like, if you want to do it, you're going to do it. Yeah. And then that's how that is. I had to try it a couple times myself to figure out that I didn't know how to do it, and it hurt when you failed and screwed that up, and then you could get somebody to show you how, because they already know that you're going to do it, and then so right. I got somebody to show me how to do it right, and I was off and running, man. I'll tell you what, that first shot of meth was, oh my God. And not to glamorize it, but those who know. So it's a thing. But
the same story over and over and over again. I don't know.
And you know what? Again, don't know. Just don't. That was the beginning of that one. Then I was over at somebody else's house, and I keep seeing these pieces of foil with all these weird
squiggly lines
on them. Yes. But this person in particular, and I won't say his name, but I love this kid. I love him a lot, and he's unfortunately still out there doing his thing. But maybe one day he'll come around. Anyway, this kid he was amazing, so articulate, so intelligent. Like, his pieces of foil were exactly exactly square, and his lines on the foil were exactly this, like, it was. And it would gradually get smaller as it went from corner to corner, exactly straight. I mean, beautiful. Like, if it wasn't so tragic, it would be fucking art. Yeah, right, it's just wow, that's amazing. Yeah. And I'm like, what in the hell is it? He's like, oh, it's heroin. It's black, And I already knew that I love pain pills. I love me some pain pills. My wisdom teeth out when I was like 20. Mm-hmm. And they gave me Percocet, and I was like, yeah! And, but I was like, I'm going to stay away from that. This was before I had done meth and everything else, you know, when I did the Percocets the first time. So I was like, I love that way too much. I'm just not going to do that. Yeah. And I feel like it's important. I need to try that, you know? So that was probably not my best decision, my brightest hour. So, yeah, I did that. Then I figured out, like, do this stuff. Makes you feel really good. But then you go night. Like, I don't.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like the worst thing in the world is talking to a heroin junkie, because you're like, yeah, so how's it going? They're like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Start drooling on this.
Yeah. Why are you drooling again? Stop.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, I got all of the ingredients to make for a really perfect Mikey, right? Like, let's do some heroin and meth at the same time. Booyah, baby! And that, oh my God, I figured out. Speedballs, yeah. Fast forward a couple of years, and now I'm banging, heroin and meth in the same shot. As woohoo, let's go. Yeah, again, like a lot of people that know me, they're gonna hear this and they're gonna know what I'm talking about a lot of things. Yeah. I would get accused of doing things that I never did. I would get punched in the face for doing things that I never did, and that sucked. But the thing about it is, what I realize is that a lot of these people wouldn't believe me because they knew that they wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? They knew that they would have done whatever I was being accused of doing. Or half the time, the person that was hitting me was the one that actually did it. Okay? And I found that out later. I liked that one a lot. I was like, well, that's interesting. Okay, I get it. Or they were being guided by the girl that was standing behind them, telling them stories about me. Right. And you know who I'm talking about. When you hear this, you're going to be like, oh, I remember that. Yeah, you hit me 3 times, you fucker. So, anyway, and then you had somebody sucker punch me. That wasn't very nice. But anyway, it's just, it is what it is. When you play the game, you play the game.
How'd you pay for this?
How did I pay for this? Well, let's go back to the abandoned house thing. There's a lot of abandoned houses in the places that I used. Yeah. When you're wide awake in the middle of the night, don't have anything to do but go and find abandoned houses, and people would leave things out and stuff. And I never broke into a house that was occupied. There wasn't a lot, and there isn't a lot that I had that I was scared of. I did have self-preservation enough that I didn't want that uncomfortable moment of feeling a gun barrel in the back of my head and somebody going, "What are you doing in my house?" Yeah, right. I avoided that. I avoided going into houses that were occupied. And when I say occupied, I mean either at the moment I was there or people were at work, and I just didn't go into houses that people were living in currently. And that kept me out of a lot of trouble. However, I would come up with things that, people wanted, and I would be able to trade those off for the things that I needed. Sure. That it's an illness, a sickness. I don't honestly believe that all of the people that are shitty are that way inherently. I think inherently almost everybody's good, but the drug changes you. The drug makes you do things that actually okay, let me rephrase that. It doesn't necessarily change you. Everybody's got the devil inside them, right? Okay, the problem comes when you let the devil take the keys and drive. As long as you keep the devil locked up, you're good. But what I find about dope is that it lets the devil out of the box, man. And once he gets the keys, brother, you're in for a ride. Yeah. And that's just what it comes down to.
How did you get to the end of that ride?
How did I get to the end of that ride? The road got bumpy. As pitiful drug addicts go, like I was actually in one of the best positions that I had been in many years while using at the end of my run. Looking back on it now, I'm like, wow, I was actually doing pretty good. I'd gotten a place that I could stay. The person was actually letting me stay there, and I had a motorhome to be in. And then it turns out that the person wasn't that nice, and me being kind, I let a couple of people come and stay because they were outdoors. I'd been outdoors and had to sleep in a hole in the desert, in the dirt, and that sucked. Even though they had done me wrong twice before in some of the worst ways, I still was like, yeah, come on in. I was tired of getting shat on for just being nice. And I couldn't bring myself to do the things to a lot of these people that they would do to me and I would put up with and do it again just to help them. I was living in a shed that didn't even have a door in the valley. My girlfriend at the time was in the hospital with a severe blood infection. she was on the recovery path as far as her health problems go. She wasn't doing anything for her recovery as far as the drug addiction goes, other than what they made her do because she's in the hospital. Mm-hmm. They couldn't give her heroin to keep her from being dope sick, so they got her on Suboxone, so she was doing that, but she wasn't dealing with any of the underlying problems for her addiction. To me, that was a big thing. I didn't know it at the time when I decided to get clean, that there was more to it than just not doing the drugs. A lot of us, especially a lot of the macho guys, a lot of the and we're afraid, it's scary. It's scary to feel. It's scary to feel the things that life makes you feel. Life hurts. Life is scary. Life will fuck you up. Life will kick you and punch you and do things to you that you will stop and go, I wish that person would do me wrong again, because that feels way better than what life just did to me.
Sure.
Taking the people that you love and taking your friends away and not giving them back. When you start losing friends to this thing, it's ugly. I lost a couple of friends to this disease along the way, and they were kids, but they were friends, And what's worse is the friends that I lost along the way that are still alive, that are just lost to the disease, and if they don't die of it, then they're just the rest of their life is going to be miserable because of it. I don't know what's worse, honestly. I don't know what's worse is, losing somebody to a suicide, an overdose, or losing them to the oblivion that is their mind because they can't live without the dope. Just watching them live out their life suffering, it sucks. But it started about 3 weeks before I moved into this shed. I had just picked up from a place. I was walking back to the motorhome I was living in. And my dad was driving down the road, and he sees me, and I recognize the truck, and I wave, and it's the middle of summer. It's like June something. He pulls over, and he's like, hey, you need a ride? I was like, yeah, that'd be cool, And I get in the truck, and got the AC on, so it's nice and cool, and I'm like, thank you for the ride. Yeah. He's like, where are you staying? I said, now, my dad and I, we've always been close. It doesn't even occur to me until right now, like how sad it was that my dad didn't even know where I was staying. Because him and I, I'm gonna see him. I'm gonna cry now.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We have tissues.
I know. And I have issues? I do. You're right.
We would not be here.
Okay, you're right. So I said, yeah, it's right over here. And I said, so he turns on the road, and we go down a little ways. And I said, I'd like to talk to you if we can drive around a little bit, And I'm, at this point, I'm dope sick. I haven't had anything in a while, but I wanted to talk to my dad. My girlfriend is still at the place. She's dope sick, but I'm like, I want to talk to my dad. We drive around a little bit, and he looks at me and he's like, well, you look like shit, my dad, he's always been one to just be truthful and honest. And I said, I know. And then, I said, you've gotten old. He said, I know. I said, okay. I said, I guess that I picked up another habit that I can't afford. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I kind of heard. And I said, yeah. So what are you going to do? I said, I want to stop. And I said, and if you're willing to help me do that, I'm willing to try. And he said, anything. I'll do anything. I said, okay. I said, let me get some things sorted out, get my affairs in order, as it were. And I'll let you know. I said, okay. I set everything in motion that day to get to where I ended up on the 29th of July of last year. So fast forward a couple of weeks, and I had gotten with my sister and my dad and my mom, and my family, and it sounds so petty now, but at the time it's still very important, because I love my animal. I love my dog. Everybody who knows me knows I love that dog. I love that dog. That he would follow me. I thought I found him a good place that he was given to me by a guy who is a 100% shitbag. And I'm not going to say any names. If he hears this, he'll know. Yeah, you're a shitbag, dude. And he gave me this dog because, if I didn't take the dog, then he was probably just going to put him out in the desert somewhere. I'd seen these dogs, and I said, if I was going to get one, that's the one I'd want. I can't even take care of myself. Right. I have no business getting a dog. Right. he had to get rid of him, so he came by, kicked the door into the house that I was staying in, ran in, threw the dog at my girlfriend, and ran back out. I was like, oh, I guess we have a dog.
I've never heard that story before. That's a very unique.
Isn't that just, that's just something that somebody like him would do. Anyway, well, I guess you're not a total shitbag. You didn't kill the dog. Yeah. So I told my dad, I said, if I can't bring my dog, I'm not doing this. I'm not abandoning my dog. I'm not giving him away. Like, he's been through it with me. He's come and found me.
Yeah.
Every time I've left him anywhere that I thought he'd be taken care of, no. He's broken out and come found me. Yeah. Dog's been all over the valley. He would show up at places where I was, where he'd have writing in Sharpie on his head that said, "Mike, call me," Bill, because everybody knew that the dog would find me. So if they couldn't get a hold of me, they would leave their number on my dog. Wow. And he'd be so happy to see me, and it's just so goofy looking to see this dog with writing and shit all over him, racing stripes, and hi Mike, and John was here, and it's hilarious. For a good time call. It's great. God, I love that dog. And for those of you who want to know, he's still alive, still doing well, he's healthy as he can be. God, man, he's still my boy. So I was in the shed, I told my dad that, and my dad said, done, don't worry about it, I got it. And he's like, I don't know how he'll deal with my dogs at home, but I know of a foster place that he can stay until you get out, whatever, but don't worry about it, it's handled. He's like, I'll be by on the 20th to pick him up, take him to the vet, to get him snipped, to get his shots done and everything. And then on the 21st, or the 29th, the 26th, 28th, 29th. So I'll be by on the 28th to pick him up. And that way, the last day you're out there, you don't have to worry about taking care of him. You can get the rest of your shit sorted out, do whatever you got to do, be ready to go on the 29th.
Right.
So, okay. He comes by the 28th, picks up my dog. I say goodbye to him for a little while because I know that I'm going to say goodbye to him the next day when we pick him up from the vet, and I'm on my way to detox. And then I go over to my sister's and I let her know, everything's everything, you got everything set up for where we're going for detox and shit. She's like, yeah, it's taken care of, it's handled, okay. So supposed to, on the 29th, my dad's supposed to, 29th I'm supposed to go to my sister's house. Then she's going to take me to meet my parents and my daughter for lunch at the Cattleman's right there in Marina. Meet there for lunch with the family, and then I'm off to detox. I didn't have anything. I was getting dope sick, and it was like 8 o'clock at night. Like, this is going to be a really bad day tomorrow if I don't get something. And, I was ready to be done, but I wasn't going to, mad respect for Maquette. She's like, fuck this boxing. She just wrote it out. You're a trooper. Yes, I gotta say, she raw dogged recovery. That's what that is right there. Yeah. So,
we've done that with a few people here in this house.
Yeah, right.
It's not pretty.
It's not pretty, and it's not easy, and I mean, none of it is. And I actually, and we'll get to this. I actually wish that I would have done it the way that Maquette did it, and I'll tell you why in a second. We'll get there. Okay. So I tell my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law pulls me aside, and he's like, "Listen, Mike." He goes, "I've never done this before." He goes, "I'm gonna do it now." He goes, "I swear to God, if you don't show up tomorrow, I'm gonna find you, and I'm gonna whoop your ass." He's like, and he's serious. Yeah. And this guy is every bit of his word. Like, he would have, could have, and he would have. Mm-hmm. So, and I said, that's fair. I can appreciate that. He's like, because your sister wanted this for 12 years. You know what I mean? I'm like, I get it. I just didn't want it enough. I said, and in all this time, I've never asked you, for anything money-wise or anything to help me, do what I did. I said, but can I borrow $20 so that I won't be completely useless tomorrow when I see my family before I go to the thing and stuff? He's like, yeah. He's like, but you better be here. There was a little bit of faith, and it was like the first little bit of trust and faith that I got back from my family for doing the right thing. Yeah. Even though I was using that $20 like directly 100% to do the wrong thing, but and he trusted me to do that, and I did. I went and got what I needed to get. And it's funny because I went to the dope dealer's house, I gave that money to that person, and if I say the gender, it'll kind of give it away. So, but anyway, I gave the money to that person, and I told him, I said, I'm done. This is it. I'm going to detox tomorrow. I'm out. It's pretty bad when the dope dealers go, good.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, what? You don't like me? And you know, like, I took that the wrong way. They're like, good, you know? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and again, this goes back to the thing where not every dope man, not every drug addict is an asshole, is a piece of shit. You know, because every dope dealer that I've ever dealt with, whenever somebody said, you know, yeah, I'm going to rehab, I'm stopping, I'm quitting, they've always been like, good. There hasn't been one that's like, oh, come on, here's some more for free. Let's keep you going. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I've never in my life. So I guess if the Valley's got one good thing in it, it's moral dope dealers.
You know, I'm going to call the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes,
and I'm going to say, you're advertising wrong.
Yeah,
here's an idea. You're Mike told me.
Don't put my name on it. You know what? Yeah, I'll co-sign to that shit all day because it's the truth.
Yeah, your picture on a billboard, thumbs up. Yeah,
we've got the best dope dealers in the. But anyway, that's good shit right there. So, yeah, this person says, "Good, you know, I wish you the best." Yeah. And they told me, they said, "I will not sell you dope ever again." And I said, "Good." And this is me, like, I'm still in the depth of my, well, you know, like, I'm at the end of my addiction, obviously, because I'm making the choice to stop. But I'm holding dope in my hand going, good, don't sell me dope anymore. So it's really kind of a, I don't know, would that be a conundrum? Or it'd be a thing. But anyway, I walk out of there and you know, I gotta start crying, you know, because I'm saying goodbye to this whole, like, as shitty of a life as it was, there was a lot of fun. Like, I had a lot of fun. I had a bunch of great times with a bunch of great people. And I had some shitty times with some shitty people. And I had some great times with some shitty people. And I had some shitty times with some great people. I don't know. From that lens, you get to see so many different things, so many different ways. It's crazy. So, you know what? I left that night. I went to the shed that I was staying in. I decided what I was going to keep. And I packed it all into my bag. I went to sleep. Woke up the next morning, you know, around sunrise, something like that, knowing this is my last day. The last day of my old life anyway. Right. Went and saw a couple of people that I use with on a regular basis. Got high. I actually nodded out on a friend's couch and woke up like 30 minutes before I was supposed to be at my sister's. Oh, wow. And I'm like, oh, man, that was some good shit, you know? Like, you know, maybe that was what the dope man was doing. And like, I'm going to give you the best shit, and like, you're going to come back. You know, I don't know, man. Maybe they were just fucking with me. I don't know. But I wake up, say goodbye to them, and haul ass to my sister's house. I'm like, hey, I'm here. My sister wasn't even there. She had gone out looking for me because I wasn't there yet. Oh, right. Yeah. And she gets back. She's freaking out. And I'm like, I'm right here. I said, I gotta go to my place, get one or two things, and then we're out of here. You know, and she's like, well, we're still doing this. I was like, yeah, it's on. I'm here, you know? She's like crying, you know? And I'm like, let's go, let's do this. So we go back over to where I was staying, the shed. I gotta get my last shot in. That's how I feel about it anyway. I tell my sister, I'm like, wait here, didn't want her to ever see. She walks in on me while I'm right in the middle of it, and I'm like, well, I told you to wait here. You know? Yeah. I told you to wait, like, and I guess it's good because, you know, at the lowest point in my life, like the worst, she got to see the worst, like the worst. Yeah, this is what it looks like. You know, like, yeah, you know, this is the ugliest it's going to get. You know, like, it is what it is. Yeah. You know, I did what I was doing, I put it down, and I walked away. We went and had lunch with my family, and I went and picked up my dog from the vet. He was still all doped up. It was funny. And I got to say goodbye to him. Then I went to detox. And I went and detoxed at Sonora. Loved the place. They were great. Yeah. Great staff. They were awesome. Not judgy. They were really cool. So did that. Got on Suboxone. Now, I get out of there after 7 days with a script for Suboxone. And I had a 2-week supply to get me from there to a rehab. I found a vet at American rehab campuses, American rehabs or something like that, you know. So, because I'm not a fan. Like, I'm not a fan. I get checked in there. I get there. I didn't have any cigarettes, and I asked the person, you know, I was like, can I get a cigarette? I'm kind of jonesing for smoke here. She's kind enough to get me a cigarette, and I'm like, cool. So I go to walk outside to smoke it. She's like, oh no, you can't smoke it yet. I'm like, when can I smoke it? She's like an hour and a half. I was like, why the fuck did you get it for me? You know? And so I'm like, yeah, so like this isn't gonna work out. Like I'm not really feeling this. So I go in the bathroom and turn on the fan, turn on the hot water, and I'm like, Bob, smoke a cigarette. I don't like trying this. They aren't done with all their intake stuff, so they walk in, smell the cigarette smoke, and get all upset with me. And I'm like, look, I just spent the last 15 years doing what everything everybody told me not to do. Like, why would you think I'm gonna listen? They kicked me out. Did not give me a referral to anywhere else. They said, you're out. Wow. Have a good time.
That was it.
They kicked me out. And I was like, are you serious? Like, I was like, look, I apologize. I will not do it again. Like, I mean, obviously, now that I'm out, like, right. No, but I'm like, look, I apologize. I screwed up. I won't do that again. Like, they're like, nope, you're out. Not only do they kick me out straight onto the street, with no referral to anywhere else, no ride anywhere, and anybody that knows, ARC is on the Tankerverde and Cole.
Oh, you know, when you say it that way, I've heard of it.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know anything about it.
Way over there. And I'm living out, you know, like
Neighbor Valley.
In Neighbor Valley, well, you know, Marana, whatever. But I can walk out, and this is that whole, you know, I don't know, man. I you know, God trusting the strongest warriors with the biggest burdens, or I don't remember how it's said, but it's brilliant. And so, like, I've got 2 weeks clean, right? I've got Suboxone. And I haven't had any meth or heroin or beer or, I mean, I've had nothing but antidepressant and Suboxone. So like I'm feeling pretty good, you know. But this thing sucked. I was just like, are you kidding me? Now I'm not feeling real good. You know, like physically I'm feeling pretty good, but like this just shit. This is just shit in my bed right now. I'm like, you know, and I did it. Like I'm the one that did it. They could have been a little more forgiving, though, I think. But, whatever. I walk out to the bus stop. I'm towing my little rolly bag that has my clothes in it. I sit down on the bus bench. I'm like, I guess I'm going to take a bus somewhere. Let's do that, you know? Dude walks up to me, and I'm not kidding. Dude walks up to me, just gacked out of his head. He's like, hey, man, I got some great dope. You got some rigs? Like, let's get high, you know? And I'm like... I must still look like a fucking drug addict, I guess. Nowhere. Yeah. I'm like, I look up in the sky, like, really? And I look at the guy, I'm like, I'm good, man. You know, thank you, but I'm good. And that's the God's honest truth. I have not used since the 29th of July of 2020.
You are listening to New Beginnings. We'll pick up the rest of Mike's story in part 2, where he goes to great lengths to get into rehab and stay in rehab. Remember, we're just all walking each other home.